Here. So we're good. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's Great Minds. And one of the things that I want to make sure before we get started, I want to just make sure that the sound is good. So what I need is to have someone on Instagram to say sound is, just give me a wave. Yes.
Can you hear me, Toya? Can you hear my cousin Stacey? Are we sounding great? We're just doing a sound check.
Sound check. And then on Facebook, for my viewers, please give me a sound check. If all is well, please go ahead and drop a comment. All right.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. All right. So listen, this is fantastic. This topic, I think this subject tonight is vitally important for all of us. So Great Minds decided that today we're going to talk about self-care. All right, Stacey is echoing. All right, I am echoing.
You have something going from your cell phone?
I do. All right, so hold on.
1 minute.
1 minute. Chloe, I'm calling my daughter, see if I could get the echo gone. Not sure why I'm echoing. But I'm going to get started and we're going to talk a little bit while she comes to help me out with why I'm echoing. All right. So we're going to talk about self-care. I'm wondering if it's this mic. We have a new mic that we're trying out. That could very much be the problem. But anyway, let's continue. So we're talking about self-care today. And this time of year, it's really, really important because it's getting down to the last 3 months of the year. Typically, this is when we have a lot of family over. It's holiday time. We're doing no way to be on the 2 without echo. All right. So yes, there is a way because I did that before.
We've been doing this for 3 weeks.
Yes, so we can fix that.
There's a thing that if we
hold on.
Set in the whatever we're using on Instagram, it will not echo. So yes. So while we are waiting on cousin Stacey to get her echo fix, I'm just gonna continue. Yes, it's the last 3 months. So, you know, when you're doing what is that, a relay, you know, the last leg, you know, the person that what do you call this, the anchor person, I don't know, but the last person that is going to finish the race, you know, they're normally the fastest. Did y'all know that? Yes. Oh, okay. Understood.
All right. Okay. So here we go. How's the sound now? Testing. How's the sound now?
You know what, cousin? It was my fault. I'm so sorry. I thought
Oh, that was you?
I was Yes, I was.
You were the culprit?
Yes.
Okay. Chloe.
Yeah, you know, because I don't have my engineer with me. He just passed and
Come
he
here,
told
Chloe.
me. You have sorry. Yes. So I cleaned these. Yes, the fourth quarter will be the best quarter. Yes, definitely.
All right.
So it was my fault. I apologize, everyone. Well,
all right.
If you had a good day, I gave you a smile, guys. Yeah.
Hi, Sheila. Welcome.
Thank you guys for joining in. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. All right. So this is so important that we wanted to make sure the sounds were well. Sheila, thanks for joining. And thanks for all of the peeps on IG. And here we go. My daughter is my technical girl. She came and she's like running off. She doesn't want to be seen. But listen, so let's go back to talking about this because it's really important. So here we are, 3 months left in the year. And I mentioned that self-care is really important, especially now.
Right.
But most importantly, we have to understand that self-care is important all the time, every day. Self-care is defined truly by us by ways that you're going to really be blown when you think about what self-care is. But one of the questions I really want to ask everybody is this. What if you were to prioritize people in your life and things in your life? Think about what your top 5 of those priorities would be and what goes first. And while you guys are thinking about that, if you feel like you want to type in your number, even if you want to do your top 3, what is your top priority, your things in life? The how do you prioritize things in life? What's your top 3 or your top 5? It's up to you how you do this. So here on Great Minds, we want to say to you, self-care is not a reward. Self-care is not a reward. Here's the thing that we do to ourselves. We walk around thinking that self-care, taking care of our beings, ourselves, the one body self that God gave us, we walk around thinking that it's some sort of reward to do so, right? But think about it in this way. If you don't take yes, it is necessary, not a reward. Thank you so much, Dee, for that. So if we don't take care of ourselves, who do we expect to take care of us? Hey, cousin, you don't take care of yourself. Who do you expect to take care of you?
There's nobody. I have to take care of myself.
Okay.
I have to take care of myself.
Because what? Why? Why do you have to take
care of ourselves, our body, everything is gonna get weak, and eventually we're gonna die because we have to take care of ourselves. And it's not just the outer part; it's our mentality. It is our the way we think and all of that. So normally you would have asked me, oh, what is your definition of self-care? But you didn't ask me, I guess.
Go for it.
So it's self-care is a deliberate, something that we deliberately do to take care of our mind, our body, and our everyday, what we do. So it's something deliberate. It's not, as you mentioned, a reward. It's not that, okay, because this happened, I'm gonna reward myself. You have to reward yourself. You have to take care of yourself. It's a part of life. Just like when you wake up, you brush your teeth or whatever it is that you do, it is a part of life. You have to have self-care.
Okay. So why is it then, if you're so passionately sure of your definition, my cousin, that so many of us, especially us women, why do we think self-care is when we go on a vacation? Why do we think self-care is when we get our nails done? Why do we think it's luxury things? Why do you think that is? Because so many of us,
maybe we don't know the real, we think it's a reward. So maybe that is
hey Ramel,
that is the reason. We don't really know the real definition of a self-care. So then we kind of misunderstand, or whatever it is, we don't get it right. So hence we're not approaching it appropriately.
Exactly. So we have some comment on your IG. Yes, please.
All right. So it says, D says, have to take care of ourselves because we cannot pour from an empty cup. That is so right. And when we take care of ourselves, we treat others better and feel better about ourselves. That is so
Phenomenal.
true. When you told me about this, I was thinking about it, and there's something else that you say. We were saying hurt people, but then you
Yes.
had something else that you said. But in this scenario, we can use that because if you're damaged, you cannot love somebody if you're damaged. You're gonna because damage is what's happening to you, so you're gonna give. It's like it's in giving. Whatever you receive, that's the only thing you can. Like they say, such a man thinketh, such is he. If you're thinking, all these bad things are happening to me, all you can do is just give bad. So that's why you can hurt. And then I'm going to continue. She says, feed the mind, body, and soul things to help us grow and evolve, to find peace and happiness.
Where's she been all my life? Now
Uh,
that's what I'm talking about right there.
all
Her
right.
her definition just put me in a great place. Yes.
And she says, because society brainwashed us. So yes, that's why we think that we have to go on a vacation. But in other words, I could say, suppose probably it not a reward. Suppose you're able to travel 3 or 4 times a year. It's not
Hmm.
that you're waiting, but that's just it could be a part of your self-care. Like
Yes.
for me, listen, if
Hmm.
anything is happening and I just sit in an aircraft, I don't remember anything that is happening, and that's just
Yes.
because that's what I choose for my self-care. It's not that it's a reward, it's just a
Hmm.
part of my life. It's just
And
I need to do
yes.
that.
And don't get me wrong, nothing, I'm not saying
Hmm.
the luxury things that we do,
Hmm.
like the massages and the nails and that is a part of our self-care as a woman, or as a man. If you want to go out there and get yourself a massage, that could be a part of your self-care.
Hmm.
But I think what I'm really trying to impress on people here is that self-care is a necessary thing, not a thing that you wait for to
Hmm.
do, and 3 6 months you do it.
Yes.
Because travel is a part of my self-care.
Hmm.
The beach
Right.
is my place, so
Oh
travel
yes.
is a part of my self-care. But I want to go to Sheila said quiet time and space is her number one. And my question was, what's your priorities as it relates to things that you like to do, or even on a relationship tip. And a lot of times, and I'm glad that Sheila said quiet time and space, because that's for her. A lot of times we find that when I ask that question, people put other things and other people above. So, where really we should be talking about putting ourselves first, because as um, Queen said, you cannot serve or pour from an empty cup.
Empty.
And
Right.
let me tell you what happens when you pour from an empty cup. You get frustrated and resentful, and that's why, cousin, you said hurt people. That whole concept
Yes.
of
Yes. Hurt
yes,
people hurt people. If you're hurt.
because if you're hurt, you're hurting. If you're
Hmm.
not full, you're giving from an empty. What you're giving is of no substance.
Substance
Um,
or value.
or
Right.
value, really. So, because you know what happens when we don't take care of ourselves, we get so freaking frustrated that we then start resenting all of the things and the people that we're having to take care of and pour into.
Into.
So
Right.
if you find yourself getting frustrated, you really need to stop for a moment and ask yourself, why in God's name am I frustrated? You may be pouring from an empty cup. Let's read some comments, because I love the engagement.
All
Um,
right, let me do mine. Mine is shorter than yours.
okay.
So, Queen was saying it's supposed to be a plus, like a cherry on top for the travel. And
Yes.
also, she mentioned quiet time and alone time. Yes, always. It allows you to be alone with your thoughts, and it like resets. And definitely, definitely, definitely. And sometimes we you know how they say whatever your environment is, that's
Mm-hmm.
who you be, because you're sucking in everything that's
Mhm.
around, and sometimes you have to move away from
Yes.
that to find your inner self, to see who you really are, you know.
Yes.
And so I agree with Queen so much.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for joining on IG. Thank you for joining on Facebook. And I
Facebook.
forgot to say, I'm also streaming to my page at staceyhenry.com, my YouTube page. Trinace, thank you, Trinace, for joining. Sheila, Raymel, D. Trinace says, we are told that when we do things for ourselves, we're selfish. And I have to say, that's for so many years, I would feel guilty for taking care and pouring into my own self. Has anybody else out there felt that guilt for doing what we have to do, which is taking care of ourselves? So you're right, Trinace. For many, many, many years, I thought that. Invest internal thing often as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. And let's see, D is here. D is saying, hey, ladies. Hi, D. Welcome.
Stacey, back to what Trinice says in regards to investing in internal things. We
Yes.
were speaking on something like that 2 weeks ago
Yes.
about investing in ourselves.
Mhm.
We mentioned that as well.
Yes,
So yes.
absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, because I think it's important that people understand that a part of self-care is investing in ourselves. We invest in a lot of other things and a lot of other people, and we do it
People.
so freely. And then when it comes to taking care of us, all of a sudden we feel a pull, like we're pulling to do that. So let's see, Raymel. Raymel says self-care for me is doing things that make me feel good, like dancing, reading, laughing, doing things that raise my vibration.
Vibration. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
I think
right.
Queen has a
ID.
comment.
Yes.
Mhm.
Queen. Yeah. She says, I have felt that. So I'm guessing she felt when, it was time for her to pour into herself or to take time for herself. So she said she felt that it is within recent years that I've decided to put me first. And yes, you have to put yourself first,
Yes.
and
That's
it's not
not
a plan.
selfish.
And she no longer feel bad about it, and she encouraged everyone to put themselves first.
Yes. It's not a selfish thing. If we're not putting ourselves first, then we're leaving ourselves to dry up. And I say that because I'm about to give an analogy, like when you water a plant, there's a couple, I'm going to give you this. You water a plant, and if you don't water the plant is going to dry up because it needs that water. You put it next to the window, it needs the sun. Water the plant too much, you can also kill the plant.
Yes, you drown it.
Okay. Think about what I'm saying here. You have to water the plant for the plant to grow and the plant to thrive. But if you water the plant too much, the plant is also going to die. And I'll tell you, that just happened to me. My mom is all about plants. She's got plants, she has a rainforest in and out of her house. And she gave me a couple of plants. And the other day here in Charleston, it was raining. And I put them outside because I was excited for them to get the natural rain. Well, one of those plants, there wasn't a hole in the bottom of the potter.
The pots, yeah.
Therefore, the water didn't drain. And guess what happened? My beautiful plant just stood right there in front of me and just rotted because there was too much water going in that pot. So that is really about excess.
Wow.
How deep is that? So you think plant needs water, and then you give a plant too much water, and then what? So that is, yes,
right.
them grown. You got that right. So it's about excess, So Trinae says, my time with my Asian series, good. She puts in some time for herself. Yes, Stacey, say that again for people in the back. You're funny.
Yes.
I don't remember what I said, Trinae. You're going to have to remind me. Yes, sometimes I do feel guilty, not as often as I used to. Good. So now, as we're sitting up straight and we're recognizing that if we don't take care of ourselves, who will? And
Well, right.
recognizing, as we're talking about self-care, that self-care is not a reward. You can reward yourselves with things, but self-care is not a reward. Self-care is a necessary
Necessity. Yeah.
yes, it's a necessity. It's an everyday thing. So I have a couple things that I found. You know me, I always do my little research to bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
She said, what about putting my customer on hold for 1 minute and do a dance
And
break?
then, yes.
Listen, whatever you have to do to take care of yourself physically, let me tell you, it's all about physical care, psychological care,
Logical care. Yes.
emotional care, spiritual care, right? Relationship care. Don't forget you got that. And professional care, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Trinace, you're talking about the professional care where you're in the middle of work and you're talking to a customer and they're about to have you blow your top, but you know what to do to take care of yourself. You know, what am I supposed to do to take care of self at this moment?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna dance, you're gonna dance. It's just what it is. We have to find what works for us. But to this point, the most important takeaway that I want you guys to understand to this point is that self-care is a necessity. That's it. Self-care is not a reward, it is a requirement. That's what.
Right.
If you walk away with nothing else, walk away with that. Right?
Mm-hmm. I Queen D should be in our conversation.
We're gonna have to invite her. We're gonna have to invite her next time. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So let me say this. Another thing about self-care is if it's you taking care of, you taking responsibility for yourself. It's pretty much what you're doing. Please, you're taking responsibility for yourself. You take
Right.
responsibility for so many people
Mm-hmm.
all the time, so many things. What about you? When do you believe that you deserve? When do you believe that you deserve to be taken care of?
Some me time.
And plenty more.
Mm-hmm.
So here's some other things that I recommend. Oh, I have to say this before I give you some recommendations. There are so many people out there who are caregivers and caregivers to older people, older parents, maybe somebody who is sick, maybe someone who just is a dependent, caregivers to your children, caregivers to as a profession. I'm a caregiver as a profession because, you know, I am helping people, and we are probably the most givers. Give.
Yes.
These people we call caregivers, me and whomever else is out there. The number one thing you can do for the people you're taking care of is to first take care of yourself. That will help you to get more joy and find more pride in the fact that you're helping, because you won't get resentful and you won't be frustrated. And if you get resentful and frustrated, then you know you need to take that moment to take care of yourself. Self-care is linked to our mental health. Yes, Sheila, it is. Absolutely. It's so important that we take care of our mental health. My personal experiences, when I didn't take care of, I ended up depressed. Oh God, I've been there and I know that. And if you run, you're going to run out of steam. Not even your cell phone battery can run without being recharged. When we go on all the apps and all the social media and we do all of our lives and we do all of the things that we're doing, the battery dies at some point. Or you start seeing that. I love to give you guys visuals. So I already gave you one with watering the plant.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to give you another one. When your battery is going low, you start seeing that red mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, when it gets to 10%, typically it gives me a warning. It says 10%. And sometimes I ignore the warning and then I die in the middle of a conversation. It's happened plenty.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody says that's what's happening now. Then if it's the battery or yourself, first lady, is it
Miss
the
First
battery?
Lady, I guess it's her battery. Better be your battery, girl.
Because here's the thing, guys, on a very serious note, the battery on the cell phone give us a warning.
Mm-hmm.
The plant gives us a warning. You start seeing it look a little droopy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Guess what? Our bodies also gives us warnings. We started getting depressed, like Sheila says. We start to get headaches. We start to feel irritable. So you either start having that physical feeling that you're wondering, where did that come from? Or you start to feel a little knot in your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I carry mine right here.
Mm-hmm.
Start to get the pain in the neck, as I call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like our batteries will give us warning signs,
Mm-hmm.
our bodies also give us warning.
Yes.
So let's see. Trinae says, when you care for yourself, it shows others how to care for you. Oh, that is fantastic. I want people to care for me too. Don't give me flowers when I'm dead. I won't see them.
Mm-hmm. I want them now.
You got that right, Trinae. Yes. She's right. It shows other people when you're taking care of yourself, and you find that you attract people. You attract the right people. When you're not taking care of yourself, you're not setting boundaries for people. And that's when you find folks start to add all sorts of stuff on your plate. All of a sudden, they're drowning you with their sorrows. And I'm not talking from a healthy perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about dumping their toxic issues on you, you end up having these toxic relationships because you haven't set the boundaries by taking
I was
care of
just
yourself.
about to say that. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries.
Yes. So if you're out there and you're engaging about self-care, drop a line of something that you do that you use as your self-care. What do you do to take care of you? What do you do to recharge that battery when it starts to go into the red? I'd love to hear it. Engage with us. And then I'm going to give you a few things that we can do. So it's really just a smart idea to take care of yourself. I was watching this YouTube video about self-care, and the guy, he was very nonchalant about saying it's just a smart thing to do. And really, it is a very smart thing to do for many, many reasons. And so Trinae says she shuts everything down as a part of self-care. I know some people who don't do social media for a time period as a part of self-care. My self-care is a part of my daily routine. I meditate, and at least 15 minutes of meditation. Sometimes I find myself doing it twice in a day. Typically, that's when I need it. Then I find myself just stopping in the middle of the day and doing it. But I start with meditation in the day. And I also use prayer. So prayer is you talking to God. Meditating is you staying still so God can give you your answer. And I reflective journal. So I do reflective journaling. That's a part of my self-care. But there are other things that is not you actually physically meditating or journaling, but it's your schedule. How do you set your schedule? Are you setting your schedule with so many things that you're running back to back? You have no space and time for yourself? Because if you're doing that, then you're not taking care of yourself. Are you saying yes to every project and everybody? because you're busy pleasing them versus looking out for yourself? So these are a lot of the questions that you may want to ask yourself. But anybody else want to drop, what else do you do to take care of yourself? What do you do to take care of yourself, cousin? Yeah.
A lot of things. I realize, I always thought I was an extrovert, but I think I'm an introvert. Can you believe that? I don't mind staying by myself, listening to podcasts, positive podcasts, things to encourage me, to refuel me, because sometimes when you're always giving and giving, and they say the people who people think is strong, they're really the weakest. You need to check on your strong friends, and sometimes you don't have anybody to run to. So I'm always listening to those positive podcasts. On Thursday, I was on YouTube, and I just ran into one of what's his name, Tyler Perry. He has some series that he posts or something, and I have been just running into them, and they have just been so encouraging. One, he was talking about, you see the wood, you see the fire, you see the knife, but where is the sacrifice, And, he started talking, and he just says those words again, like, what, am I the sacrifice? And then at the end, he was like, no, you are not the sacrifice, because, Jesus came and whatever. So, those things have been encouraging me especially during this time. And it's not that, I personally is going through something, but sometimes my spirit leads me to call a friend. And, you call a friend and you hear some things that they're going through, and they're, thousands of miles away, and there's nothing that you're able to do. They live alone, and it's just, and, anxiety and all those things are just happening. And it affects you because, when you love someone, when they're hurting, you're hurting. So I just try to stay, positive by listening to encouraging podcasts. So that's where I am right now.
And, cousin, being vulnerable is not weak. And I understood what you meant, but I want to clarify that checking on your strong friends just means that they too needs the encouragement and the upliftment. And it's not because we are per se weak. It's because there are moments of vulnerability that we're able to shed that cape. Remember we talked about cape last time?
That cape.
And there are things in our lives that becomes our kryptonite, and we all have them. And therefore, no matter how strong we are.
Okay. We are. Okay.
We are. A lot of us are really strong people. There are still moments that we need to be able to shed the cape in order to rejuvenate and reset. And part of rejuvenating and resetting is being able to speak to others, to have other people pour into you, to gain and glean wisdom from others, to do your podcast, to read a book, whatever that is. But it's to get yourself, that's how you refill.
Refuel,
You're getting yourself poured into.
And that's a part of self-care too. Refueling yourself. That is definitely a part of self-care.
Yeah, Sheila says when we appreciate ourselves, those around will also appreciate us. And that's the boundaries we set. And a lot of us, we get a really freaked out, as a lack of a better word, freaked out about boundaries. But boundaries are not necessarily boundaries that you have to verbally set all the time. People will pull from your energy, and people will pull, you give the lead and they'll follow from how you treat yourself. So if you're taking care of yourself, other people will take care of you. If you're taking care of yourself, then you 9 times out of 10, you may not have all these people, going through the things,
Right.
those motions
Right.
that drive you nuts, because you've already shown them how to take care of you by the way you take care of yourself. Does that make
And
sense?
yes, it does. And also with another series that we had, we were mentioning, we allow people to treat us the way they do. And as you said, it doesn't have to be, oh, treat me like you don't like me. But as you're saying, it's not something that is said, but probably it is said like indirectly, like, So
Yes,
yes, so it's just like that, if we appreciate ourselves, those around us will appreciate us. So if we
absolutely.
don't respect ourselves, no one will respect us.
And so it is, they emulate, right?
Hmm.
All right.
Right.
So, and remember, the world is a mirror, and you're reflecting. So what you put out is what you get. So if you put out to the world that, I don't take care of me, then they're not going
Hmm.
to take care of you either.
Right.
And, there's a part of self-care, cousin. I must say this, because I didn't miss the part where you said, you're listening and you're feeling bad because you love. But a part of self-care is to understand when to detach, and when to understand that you can give your love and your support
Hmm.
without taking on other people's stuff, right?
Right.
And that's the most important part, because sometimes people's things are so heavy that we walk away with it. And,
Right.
you're like this. Oh goodness.
It's your neck. It's there are
Yes,
knots in the neck. In the neck.
yes. I mean, it's really that you walk away with other people's things. Sheila says,
Hmm.
I show people how I care, or how I self-care, by taking
Hmm.
care of myself, taking myself out, go to dance class, gym, the park, sharing a good book. Yes, all
Yes,
of those
definitely.
things are part of self-care. So let me tell you why self-care is smart. It helps to prevent burnout, right? Like I said, you can run, 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 run. Your battery is going to eventually go red,
Hmm.
and then it's going to die. And that's burnout. Burnout in any facets of your life. Burnout at work, burnout at home,
Hmm.
burnout with friends, whatever. That can happen. It reduces the psychological and the physical effects of stress. So if you practice self-care, then what you're in fact doing is you're releasing some of those things that can burn your body out, cause illnesses, and or psychological stress. It helps you to refocus on the things that's important in life,
Person. Yes.
because
Hmm.
when you're running, 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 and you don't stop to take care of yourself, then you're not mindfully living. If you're not mindfully living, then what in fact that you're doing is you're just going with the flow of whatever.
Hmm.
And that, my friends, can definitely cause you stress, burnout, and everything else.
Anxiety.
Anxiety, you name it, all of those words that we don't
Hmm.
particularly care for. So, what self-care action works for you? And Sheila has a bunch: taking herself
Hmm.
out, going to dance class, gym, park, sharing a good book. That's one of her, that's some of her self-care actions. So if you're out there and you want to share, what self-care action works for you?
All right, so let me interject while we wait for those answers.
Yes.
So for me, like if I'm doing a project and I think I've been on this too long, I switch it up. I go do something else. So that, for example, if I'm just reading this thing and just trying to get it and I'm just not getting it, I just find there's always something else for me to go and do. So I'll just go and do it, and it's probably more fun. It's
Mm,
probably listening to that podcast, but it's work because information that I need from that to do, something. So you don't have to stay on that one project, all day. If it gets, like you're not getting anywhere, or you're feeling, you just go ahead and I switch. And I always switch it up. And then by the time I come back to that original project that was giving me a hard time, it seemed like it was something new. And it's like, because I was refueled by the other thing that I switched to. So
Yes.
that could be an idea or a way of you,
Well, no,
not draining yourself.
No, that's an awesome thought. Listen, sleep. Sleep is important for me. I do a lot of work. I wake up from morning till night. I'm doing something. I'm busy doing something, and typically it's productive things, right?
Right.
But sleep is a rejuvenator. Sleep is a part of self-care. If we're not getting good, solid sleep, and we're not setting a consistent sleep schedule, because when you sleep, it's a reset. So it resets your entire day, and it starts you the next day. Here we are, we're fresh, we're new. And so sleep is a very important one. And I meet a lot of people who struggle with sleep. And but that for me is very important. When I don't get enough sleep, I can feel myself irritable. My energy is low, and I don't like a low energy because I like to laugh out loud. I dance, I dance while I cook, and I'm just a hot mess. If you put a webcam in my house, I think it would be a hit series, because it's comical. But I can't do that if I'm not rejuvenated. You know what I'm saying? So that's really important. Trinae says, I love my incense, candles, fresh flowers, music, music, music. Oh, yes. It is rare, but sometimes I do nothing. When you do nothing is when your body is telling you need to do nothing. And you remember I said your cell phones will tell you when the battery is low. Your body typically tell you too. Sometimes that's when it tells you not to get out of bed, or to sleep later, or to just stop what you're doing and sit down. That's your body speaking to you, letting you know that, hey, you need to take care of you.
Right.
Right.
That's when the body turns off, just like when that battery dies.
Yes. Now, I don't necessarily want the body to drop.
No,
don't drop. But we need to catch ourselves before it get to that point. Set time aside for yourself. There's a lot of times when we talk about self-care and people say, but I don't have any time. But you do have time, because you are the person that is in charge of your schedule. So you have to schedule the time to do the things that is necessary for you to survive. I'm not talking, like I said, self-care is not a reward nor luxury. It's a
necessity.
It's a necessity. It's a survival. So some of the self-care action I tell you, sleep is really important for me. Meditation is key. I do that every morning. Journaling is important. I journal. I schedule vacations. And yes, I know that right now, physical vacations are a little bit off limits. But what I do is I vacation in the mind. I'm always looking up a spot. Last night, my husband and I were watching YouTube vacation channels, and we were in Jamaica. We went to Portland. We were on Sansan Beach. I was drinking a coconut jelly. I mean, I was going, okay, you can laugh if you want. It worked. I was doing all of that. And my vibration went to the roof. I felt so good. And I was like, babe, we got to go there. When can we go there? When will they stop COVID testing? I mean, I was ready. So there are things that we typically would do that this whole year might have shut down, but we have to start doing it in the mind, doing it visually, looking it up, still wrapping our minds around it, so that we can prepare ourselves for next year when we can bust out the gates and everybody's going to
Right.
flood everywhere, you know?
Mm-hmm. Can't
Um,
wait.
yes. So what actions, here's some questions for you as we talk, as we, we're close to the end of our show, Great Minds
So,
Tonight. So we're talking about self-care, important facts. Self-care is not a luxury. Self-care is not a reward. Self-care is necessary. But what actions make you feel better when you feel drained? What are some of the things that when you're feeling irritable or you're feeling resentful towards the people around you because you're giving out and you're not giving in, you should think about what are some of the actions that will immediately help to make you feel better. Because here's the thing, a lot of times we go through things and we're always going to go through things. We can't necessarily change the fact that we may have a burnout here or there. It's going to happen. But what is it that you have in your toolbox that you can pull for immediately that will rejuvenate you? And mine is meditation. And I tell you what, when my daughter, she'll walk up and I can meditate in noise. You could be screaming. I don't ask anybody to be quiet. I don't ask anybody to turn off their music or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I can literally find mindful space in a crowded, noisy room. But that came with practice. But that is what I do whenever I find myself. That's my go-to immediately. And I shut still the mind so that I can quiet everything else. So for everybody's out there, what do you do? What's your go-to? You have a go-to, cousin?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I just sing some praise and worship songs. Oh my, it does wonders. It does wonders. And it's not just the music, because I'm not a singer, but the words. And this is a mere fact that I'm here. So just worshiping is just what I do. So yeah, that is my go-to in those times. Just singing praise and worship songs that just lifts up my spirits.
That's
It does
fantastic.
wonders. It does wonders.
Well, music have a tendency to do that to us, and especially if we find music with really uplifting words. And music also, if you believe in the fact that you can, if you ever hear people say positive vibes, the
Mm-hmm.
vibes comes from the vibration, and you can
Right.
lift your own energy and your own vibration with music and dancing and singing, laughter.
Right.
Laughter is huge. The time you should laugh, the time you should add comedy is when you don't feel like adding comedy in your life.
Right. Definitely.
The moment you should find something to laugh about is that moment when you don't feel like laughing, and then you find something to laugh about, it lifts your
Mm-hmm.
vibrations, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you're on a different space. So
Right.
for
Definitely.
everybody who's joining, we're talking about self-care. We're about to close it out, but we've had some really awesome gems just to talk about putting yourself first, not running yourself ragged, not allowing people to guilt trip you into not taking care of you,
Taking care of you. Right.
reminding yourself that taking care of yourself is like charging up your cell phone. You don't go anywhere without your cell phone. Most of us don't. We even
Mm-hmm.
take that mess to bed sometimes and put it next on the side.
Side. Yeah. The
So we
nightstand.
shouldn't go anywhere without our self-care. You need your cell phone, right? We don't we the plants can't survive without water, and the
Mm-hmm.
plants can also die because you give it too much
Too
water.
much water.
So
And
we need
drown.
exactly. So we need to understand how to put balance in our life.
Right.
Balance. How do you balance your life? Because that's what's important. Don't let people guilt trip you. Don't take on all of people's stuff You know, I mean, why you? Isn't there somebody else that can help out? Isn't there somebody else, you know? So just know that when we are the strong one,
Mm-hmm.
here to be the one that don't ask everybody else for things, or we don't reach out and complain, because it's not that we might have things to complain about, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
complain.
Mm-hmm.
They come and they inundate us,
Yes, they
right?
drain us, parasites.
Wow, tell us how you feel.
I was just saying what I learned in, biology class, that's what they call them. I'm
Yeah,
just saying. But go ahead.
I really feel it, cousin. I have a you can burst out. Um, so just don't let people pull that from you. Sponges, yay!
Yes.
Suck
Yes. See?
everything you got, suck it up. You got to find a Jamaican term for that, cousin. You got to find I mean, without being rude.
Oh. I don't know. It's just a part of our culture.
To be rude.
Not all the time, but because of the other end, the situation,
Yeah.
we can't be nice about it because we've been nice about it, and then they don't hear, and
Yeah.
then when you say something, you're rude. But yes.
Um, you are welcome, Sheila. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for coming, joining us, Miss Brian.
But I just tell you it's time for us to
Read what she put there.
work lists. Yes. I just want to just drain us and drain our energy. Don't allow anybody to drain your energy. That is a part of self-care. The other thing we talked about too is just making sure that as a part of self-care that you set boundaries. And the boundaries that you're setting, sometimes they're verbal boundaries, but sometimes they're just the way you treat yourself. The way you treat yourself, the way you take care of yourself, other people then, like I said, life is a reflection, it's a mirror. The energy you put out is the energy you will get in. So you treat yourself one way and the people out there will treat you the same. So be mindful about what you're giving off. What are you emitting? What are you emitting? Be very mindful of that. What final thoughts do you have, cousin?
All right. So self-care. Self-care means knowing who you are and your limits. Self-care also means getting sleep, getting the sleep you need, and how and knowing how to rest, how to take a break.
Yes. You're reading her comments.
Yes. So, Rainbow, she's saying that, and it's not just friends or people outside your home, but your immediate family as well. We have to find time for ourselves. And she came in late, but she is on point.
Yes.
Oh, she said, what are we talking about?
We're talking about you because
No. Sleep. Wait.
sleep.
My the sleep party. I don't sleep. Yep.
You know what, cousin? Honestly, when we're done here, I want you to tell me how I can send her something for that. I want her to try something. Sleep is really.
She's gonna love. Yeah, she's gonna love it. And yes, I would love for you to send it to her because she said nothing works. Yes.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about. Yes, I can't wait.
So I have some sleep chews that I can send. It will level your circadian system. It is awesome. And I would love to send you some to try. And then she said, please help.
Please help. Yes.
Let us know later if that worked for you, because it's important. Sleep is vital. Sleep is a way to rejuvenate. And so you need that. If you're not getting sleep, it's throwing everything else off balance. We all need that circadian system rhythm to be in sync, so that we can go about our days feeling a lot more rejuvenated. We'll be less frustrated with the children. We will love our spouses better.
Mhm.
All of that. There's so much that comes with good sleep. What else did you have before we close out, cousin?
So that was just it. We just need to sleep and know how to rest, and we need to know ourselves and our limits. So yes, I want to, those are my final words when it comes to self-care.
Okay. And so self-care says self, and we have
Mm-hmm.
a tendency to not look out for ourselves. It is something that's ingrained in a lot of us where we say nicer things to people, we do nicer things for others than we do ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I encourage is that we learn that at this moment in time, we have to do better. Thank you, Ramel, for joining. See you next time.
Love you.
And
Thank you.
so let's wrap it up by saying,
Mm-hmm.
if you think about self-care from a physical standpoint, that is exercise, it is your diet. If you think
Mm-hmm.
about it from a psychological standpoint, it's what are some of the things that you're doing to take care of your mental space. If you think about it from an emotional standpoint, it's what do you do for others? Those compassion for self instead of always being compassionate to others. Spiritual self-care is, do you pray? Do you meditate? Whatever your
Do you
spiritual,
sing?
whatever your do you sing, do you dance? Whatever your spiritual thing is.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship self-care is um take inventory of the relationships you're in, good, bad, or indifferent, and how are they? Are you checking in on friends? Are you checking in on people? So what are your relationship self-care? And professional self-care is setting your boundaries, finding mentors, doing things
Mm-hmm.
that's not allowing your job or your career or your business to burn you out. And it's really important. So those are the different kind of broken up in different types of self-care. So I am so happy that you guys joined us today.
Thank you,
Remember,
thank you, thank you.
you are important and you must put yourself at the top of the list, because if you
Mm-hmm.
can't pour out of an empty jar.
So Khaleesi, self, then Rainbow. Okay, her daughter. That's her daughter.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, guys, take care. It's been wonderful. Thanks again for joining Great Minds. We'll see you again, Nerissa and I, next week. And
8 p.m.
yes, you can check me out on at Stacey Henry Carr on Instagram,
Facebook,
and also
and YouTube.
yes.
Yes,
All
yes,
right,
yes,
guys,
yes.
have a wonderful night. All right, Nerissa, love to love you.
I love you all. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
We had 21.
Hold on.